Hey everyone, welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast. I'm Nayan and I'm joined here by James as always. And on today's episode, we will be covering Spider-Man 4 news, that's MCU, the Pirates of the Caribbean to be rebooted, Timothee Chalamet partnering with Warner Brothers, Yorgos Lanthimos' new film Kinds of Kindness, and a fan favourite segment of ours by Rent and Sell. Alright, so like I said, I'm joined here by James. It's Easter Thursday, technically, and we are ready for the long weekend.
Yes.
So sit back, crack open a cold one, and let's get into it. So, Spider-Man 4, and that's not Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 for all you fanboys out there. This is the MCU one. Tom Holland's one. We've got some pretty significant information that's come out this week, and quite a lot of it as well. So the director for this, potentially, has not been confirmed, but he's been eyed, is Justin Lin, and he's directed Fast and Furious 3, 5 to 6, and 9 to 10. It has been confirmed that Zendaya will also return, and we've been given some plot details which I find very interesting. So basically, it's going to be Peter Parker's personality will be slowly fading away. He has lost and detached from everyone that he has loved, and he is just left with Spider-Man, and that's all he's focusing on right now. So James, you're the Spider-Man guy. He's your favourite superhero of all time.
Yes, sir.
Could you get behind this concept, and what do you think of all the other news that dropped?
Absolutely can get behind this concept. That seems to be the direction in which they're moving forward with this movie. I think I think we can all agree that the MCU has lost a little bit of its quality, but in a bright spot from Endgame onwards, I think Spider-Man No Way Home was a massive bright spot, and I think it's not because you had Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. They were great. They were super fun. And as someone who loves Spider-Man, that was like, it just made me so happy. And I know that because I saw that movie 10 times in cinemas. I loved seeing that constantly. But it was how serious it made Spider-Man. No longer was he the one making silly little hee-hee, ha-ha jokes. It's like real stuff is happening to him now. You know, we saw like real consequences from his actions. He was the one making mistakes, but it was him trying to be good. And, you know, we saw Aunt May die in No Way Home, and I think that was a very serious turning point. You even had the technical side of things even taking, they were elevated as well in that one. So No Way Home was fantastic, and I think it gave me a lot more faith in the Spider-Man character in the MCU, because I was seriously looking forward to Homecoming. I thought that was good. That was fine. I thought it had a really, really awesome twist in it. And then Far From Home came out, and it just left a really sour taste in my mouth as a Spider-Man fan. So when No Way Home was coming out, and we're doing our most anticipated list, this was at the time when those rumors about old villains and old Spider-Man, they were floating around, but they never had any serious traction towards them. Because, the year beforehand, it was a year before it even came out, it never made my most anticipated list. And it would have made number one if I had known all that stuff beforehand, of course. And so it was in my most honorable mentions. And to see Spider-Man Homecoming taking out the number one most anticipated spot for 2017 over Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, which shocked Kyan into oblivion. This it just showed how badly I started to really take what they were doing with Spider-Man. And so, what they did in No Way Home, I think not just me, I think a lot of people really love the direction of that character, and they're taking it up at next level further with this. Having him lose everyone in his he's lost in his entire social network. No one remembers him, and so he's very isolated, he's very alone. And so everything that was Peter Parker is kind of gone. And remember, he's moved out. Yeah. He doesn't have family. He's just, it just makes complete sense. I think anyone in that kind of situation would just focus on what's working for them. And I think Spider-Man is something he's really gotten right after No Way Home, and that's probably why he's invested so much time into it. So to see that kind of concept being at play is really, really exciting, because you remember Spider-Man 2, and I think that's I don't know about anymore, but it is definitely one of the better Spider-Man movies, one of the best, and one of the greatest superhero movies of all time.
I would say the best live action Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, I got to look at all of the Spider-Man again because they're just getting really good now. But Spider-Man 2 is great, and it deals with something that's very similar to this. It's like the identity crisis in a superhero. And I think we saw it in one of the Dark Knight movies where he's just debating on whether to, it's the hero and the person, the individual. So I love those kind of concepts where they fight between that, and they really have like an identity crisis at the end of the day. But there are some stuff that concern me, and the first 2 points you mentioned. Justin Lin, please don't get him near this franchise. I don't want to see it. You said the Fast and Furious movies. Furious 7's not in there for the ones that he directed, and that was my favorite one. He can do the action fine. I'd be really on board from an action standpoint, but I don't really trust him to deal with this character yet. I think there are probably better options out there in the market in terms of getting a director to take this really high-profile film. I'm not heavily against it. I'm not going to just toss this movie aside and not have faith in it just because of Justin Lin. I think he could do an all right job, but I still don't really want him near this. I think just someone a little bit more safe for one of the hottest properties in the MCU. The Zendaya returning is the one that I really, really dislike. And that's not because of Zendaya at all. I love Zendaya as an actress, and I think she's continuously growing and finding those roles that challenge her and make her far more versatile than we've seen since she's began her career. But Zendaya returning means that at some point in the movie, she's going to remember Spider-Man. She's going to remember Peter Parker. And it cheapens the ending that we got at No Way Home, because that ending at No Way Home hits hard emotionally because Peter Parker accepts that his friends are better off and they're safer without him in their lives. And so he accepts that reality, and he knows he has to move on to the next chapter of his life. And I think that's a big thing that everyone has to do. And speaking from experience, man, I did that in January. I had to leave and accept that reality and go to the next chapter. So, I mean, I get that.
Then eventually you come back, just like Zendaya.
Exactly, yeah. So it cheapens it. It'd be like me coming back like the week after. It's not as well earned. So I think it cheapens it. I think it'd be really hard to pull it off in a really compelling way. But yeah, that's really my thoughts on this one. I probably went a little bit overboard on my thoughts. I'm just, as you say, the Spider-Man guy.
Exactly. That's why I just let you have free reign, because I knew if the show was on the other foot and it was about Batman, I'll be the same as you. I'll be talking for ages, and you'll just be like, yep.
Yeah.
Let your feelings out, boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree with you. I do feel that Zendaya returning sort of cheapens the ending of No Way Home, and the fact that she is returning, we already know what's going to happen already. Mm-hmm. She is going to eventually remember.
Yeah.
My preference would be is that they just drop MJ and Ned completely. It says here that Peter Parker's losing his Peter Parker-ness, become more Spider-Man. What a perfect way to bring him back into his Peter Parker, and then introducing someone like Harry Osborn and Gwen Stacy, into the MCU. Having Peter Parker have these new friends and this new relationship that can fully be explored, and Gwen Stacy could be the MJ, of this sort of franchise, and obviously Harry Osborn is his best friend, so he's bound to shop at some point.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the route they should go. We don't know. They still might go down that route, that we might see Harry Osborn and both Gwen in this film. But I think just having Zendaya there is... I forgot the terminology for it, but it's like... The thing on your chest is not let go. Or it's not off. That's not the same I'm trying to think of.
I don't know what you're trying to go with that.
It's just... It's a burden in the room. It's a burden in the room. Like, it's there, and you know it's going to come up at any time, and you're not going to let this character grow because they're just going to regress and fall back to what was comfortable from in the other three movies. So that is a shame. I agree with you on Justin Lin as well. I feel that they should probably bring in maybe a more equipped director for this. Maybe the same director that did No Way Home. I can't remember who did that now. Wasn't Raimi, was it? No, he did Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is a bit of a eyebrow raiser, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is all just initial details. I mean, plans always change, scripts always change. So who knows? They might completely ditch this Peter Parker loses Peter Parker-ness and just go straight into first 10 minutes. You know, he remembers Ned and MJ and Ned remembers Peter Parker, and it's just cheap way out. So
yeah, well, I saw that they're gonna start filming this year. And I'm like, wow, that's really fast. I did not know that this movie was that far into it. But yeah, I mean, to cap the segment off, man, I'm super excited. If this is the concept they're going down, I think they can do so much good things with it. I think, you know, male loneliness is a very serious problem, and a problem that a lot of people can relate to and resonate with. And to explore that through someone like Spider-Man and Peter Parker, I think it's an excellent opportunity to do that, and the perfect time in that character's journey.
Definitely, for sure. Another journey that we're going on is the journey of Pirates of the Caribbean. So the last one came out in 2017, and we have not seen it since. There has been rumours of Margot Robbie starring on one and then being dropped, and then another one being made and being dropped. So who knows what's happening with this franchise. But we have recent news is that the next Pirates of the Caribbean film is going to reboot the entire franchise. It's not going to continue on from Jack Sparrow. We don't know if it's going to, you know, reboot Jack Sparrow, recast Jack Sparrow, if it's going to bring in a whole new cast. Who knows? Jerry Bruckheimer, who is the director of Pirates of the Caribbean, he said it's easier to put together this film, it's easier to reboot and put together as you don't have to wait for certain actors to become available due to their schedules. So that's the reason why they're rebooting it. It is unknown if Johnny Depp will return. It's looking most likely not. I doubt he would, but who knows. And apparently Margot Robbie's Pirates of the Caribbean is still on the table in whichever shape or form that takes in either this franchise or the Johnny Depp franchise, or if it's its own thing. Who knows with this. James, take it. What's your thoughts, man?
Oh man, I don't know where the franchise is going. I'm a bit torn. Maybe rebooting the franchise is probably the way to go if you're trying to start something new and start an actual, you know, I guess revitalize the franchise, give it a bit of a refresh. It's probably just to do, you know, a hard reboot, no ties to the first ones, just go completely new, start again, get good characters and then get good actors behind it. I think you can do it, but I do think at the end of the day, what makes Pirates work is Jack Sparrow, and further to that, Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. I just don't think Pirates would really work without that quirky character being the lead. It just makes it so much more entertaining. Like you can have plenty of. There's so many like dull action movies out there with just a very generic cast, but Jack Sparrow is the one very unique thing that's in the Pirates franchise in terms of characters. All the other characters are kind of generic townspeople or pirates. You know, they stick to the tropes of those kind of characters. But Jack Sparrow is that, you know, that weird, quirky one, unpredictable. You don't really know what he's thinking, but he's also a super genius and dumb at the same time. And it's just really wacky. And Johnny Depp really pulls that off. I honestly don't think you could have another actor play that role. Specifically Jack Sparrow, you could have another actor come in and then make it their own and just kind of have another character, just not being Jack Sparrow. So if you cannot get Johnny Depp and Jack Sparrow in the movie, then I think a hard reboot's probably your safest route to go. But why this needs to be a thing at all is beyond me. Like, just we can move on from it. I don't think we need to start this franchise again. I think this franchise, I think it's truly a one-hit wonder in terms of the first one being great, and then just dying out very, very quickly. It's very clear that it was just meant to be one film, and it was so successful that they had to continue it. Like, I'm someone who likes Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, but it's just not like, it doesn't hit the same as that first one. They're entertaining for their production value, I think. They're a lot of fun. They have awesome action sequences, but they aren't great narratively like the first one. I mean, do you want this franchise to be reborn, so to speak?
Yes and no. I mean, I do enjoy the Pirates films. That's mainly just 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember 4, and I didn't even know 5 existed until I looked into this.
Well, have you not seen it?
No, I have seen it. I was 11, even though I have seen it, I just completely forgot that it existed, so I had no idea. That's how probably shit it was. But I do know it makes a bunch load of money. You know, it's like one of those films that could easily just make $1 billion, no matter how shit it is. So I do see why they're trying to milk this for everything they have. I'm agreeing with you. They need to reboot it because you can't have Jack Sparrow in it because whoever replaces Johnny Depp is just going to be compared and criticised and dissected compared to him, and that's just not fair to whichever actor takes that role. It's just move on, create a new character, you know. I'm sick of seeing all of these reboots having to have a different actor play the same character. Just create someone new, create the next icon of the next generation, you know, rather than trying to hold on to the past. Because times are changing, and this is a perfect time to introduce new characters. So yeah, the thing that I'm really confused on is Margot Robbie's Pirates. Like, apparently it's a thing, but it was supposed to be set in Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean, but it's now being rebooted, but Margot Robbie's still having her own Pirates, so...
Well, I thought they dropped it, and then...
That's what I thought too, and then I did some reading, and it said it was dropped and picked up, and then dropped and now it's picked up again, so... I have no idea. Whether this goes on or doesn't, just drop it. Yeah. Just leave it. Reboot it and start fresh. Yeah, and don't make her Jane Sparrow as well if you are going to go with it, because that's just another cheap way of rebooting Jack Sparrow.
I thought you just said James Sparrow, and I was like, I like the sound of that. James Sparrow.
I could get hyped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd be on board for a James Sparrow. Yeah.
All right. The next segment is one that we're seeing quite often nowadays. You know, is actors partnering with studios. I mean, or even not even just actors, just talent. So the most recent one is Timothée Chalamet. He signed a multi-year deal to not only star but to also produce films for Warner Brothers. The deal's similar, probably not in pay wise, but it's similar to what Tom Cruise is doing, and Margot Robbie as well. You know, and I think I saw news earlier today that Ryan Gosling is starting his own production company and pairing with Amazon. So we're starting to see actors branch away from acting and getting more into the nitty gritty of films. So James, what are your thoughts on this in regards to Timothée Chalamet and my last point of actors branching out from acting?
Yeah, well, I think it's a trend that we're just going to start seeing with these kind of heavyweight A-list actors, and both Timothée Chalamet, Tom Cruise, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, they are all part of that A-list in terms of popularity. And it makes sense for Warner Brothers to lock up Timothée Chalamet in this multi-year deal to star and produce films for them. From my reading and what I know of this contract, he can star and produce films with other companies. It's just that Warner Brothers is the one that gets the first option, the first pick to decide whether to go through it or not. So if they decline, then he can just go off and do it with someone else. So yeah, it makes sense to lock up a star of Timothée Chalamet's caliber. I mean, this guy is just incredible. He's probably the best actor of the generation so far. And I mean, like, it depends on how you think of the generation. Like, if you're having like Emma Stone in this generation, then perhaps those actors are a different story.
I think it more comes down to what defines a generation. Is it a decade? Is it 20 years? If it was, let's just go with 10 years for this example, okay? Emma Stone 100% would be of that generation.
I'll say this generation. Under 30.
Okay.
Under 30, I would say he's probably the best actor. And I don't have all the actors in front of me on a whiteboard or anything, so I could be wrong in that. Feel free to comment who you think is probably better than Timothée Chalamet if there is one. But I would say, yeah, he's definitely done it. He's proven it. He's taken on challenging roles. Like, Call Me By Your Name, and then he's gone on to do stuff like Dune, and which is making big money at the box office. And Wonka made big money at the box office, and that's 2 back-to-back. I think he's like the only actor in the last 4 decades to have 2 top 2 grossing domestic movies within 8 months or something like that. It's ridiculous how good those 2 movies are doing. And Timothée Chalamet is obviously a big draw now because of that. And then, if we want to, elaborate on his star power, him dating Kylie Jenner does add to that. We can dismiss it and laugh at it and meme it, all that stuff, but it does actually add a huge amount of popularity to him. It gives him a ton more exposure just because of the popularity of her and that family as well.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I mean, did anyone really know who Travis Kelce was unless an NFL fan before he started dating Taylor Swift? Like, so that's a power of what a big celebrity can do for your own self.
Yeah, and then to answer your question in terms of just we're seeing this trend now in the industry, I don't really know what it means, but I think it's probably more about the actors trying to get a little bit more power. And I don't mean that in a negative way, just more power so they can explore their creative pursuits. Rather than if they're just starring, then they are held to the whims of, who's writing it, who's directing it, who is producing it. They don't really have much control to, I guess navigate their career in the way they want. So allowing or having stars move to more, producer / actor, I think it allows them to have a little bit more bargaining power to how their role is going to be done, how the movie's going to be, and it allows them to get to a point where they can pursue their roles in the way that they would like to, in the way that they would like to express them, which I think is fine, because to be able to get to a multi-year deal with a studio to star and produce, or just to start your own production company, takes a ton of work, and you need to be really, really good at what you do. Some new actor off the LA streets just can't come in and start a production company and star in the biggest movies. You got to earn your way to get to that level. So it makes sense that they're doing that. I mean, Margot Robbie's really doing such a great job with her one, and I think we're going to see a trend as these mega stars start to come to fruition in terms of their popularity in the future.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I do like how it pretty much gives control to the actors and in regards to what they can star on, because if they have their own production company, pretty much that's going to be attached to every film.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm a bit cautious, or if that is the case, that I don't like, is that they're not going to go work for a different production company or a different director, because they will just want everything to be kept within their own production company. Say Margot Robbie doesn't want to go work for, this may never happen, this might happen, but won't go and work for Christopher Nolan because Nolan won't let her have her production company in that title.
Be a part of it, eh?
Yeah. So I've just used it as the example because that's the first 2 people that I know that have production companies coming across my head right now.
Yeah.
But like that sort of thing, it's sort of like we're not going to see these opportunities of these actors working with great directors or cinematographers or writers, because they are just wanting to only create films for their own production company.
Yeah.
So that's a little thing that I'm a bit worried about, so to speak. But in regards to them going into production, it's an awesome way to move away from acting if they ever get sick of it, or if they want a break. It's what Margot Robbie is doing right now. She's sick of acting and she wants to learn the more technical side of filmmaking, which is being a producer. So that's what she's focusing on for now, and then eventually she'll come back into acting. So we use this term a lot on this podcast. It's a palate cleanser for these actors and actresses.
For them, not for
so
us.
to speak. Yeah. But in regards to Timothée Chalamet and Warner Brothers, I think it's just another big win for Warner's at the end of the day. They wrapped up Margot. Now they have Tom Cruise and Timothée Chalamet. Tom Cruise is a couple generations before. Margot Robbie is, let's just say, this generation, and Timothée Chalamet is the next generation. That's 3 generations of star power just locked up for them, where they can create, star, and produce movies. for them. So
Yeah.
it's awesome on Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers needs a win right now. Because their franchises are taking a big L. Godzilla X Kong, New Empire. Don't see it.
Rotten Tomatoes still isn't out, by the way. Reviews still aren't in, even though our embargo has dropped. So I don't know what's going on there, but I do know it's not that good. But yeah, no, completely agree. In terms of Warner Brothers, I have no idea what they're doing. Like, they make really smart moves by locking up Tom Cruise, locking up Timothee Chalamet, not literally, of course, just into like contracts and stuff. And then they have like all this financial stuff going. They're canceling, certain projects that have been completed just for a little tax cut or something like that, where they can save some
tax write-off or
whatever. Something stupid like that. And then they're just going all down the toilet. I have no idea what they're doing, but amongst all the chaos of Warner Brothers, they can produce absolute gems like Dune Part 2. And then, obviously they've lost Christopher Nolan, but they always had those really good directors just always with them. So I have always been a big fan of Warner Brothers and how they've allowed, certain directors and talent to really explore and take risks and do all that kind of stuff. Who knows where it's going now? I'm not particularly fond of the management who runs Warner Brothers, but hopefully these deals that we're seeing can bring some really good films from Warner Brothers.
For sure, yeah. Speaking of good quality films, we got one last year that won a Best Actress Oscar, and that's Yorgos Lanthimos' new film, or one that caught me and James completely by surprise because we didn't see it coming, we didn't hear anything about it, and I'm sure if we heard about it, it would have been on our most anticipated list. Okay. But yes, Yorgos Lanthimos' new film comes out this June 2024. It is titled Kinds of Kindness, and listen to this cast. This cast is jacked. It's got Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Margaret Qualley, and Jesse Plemons. 3 of them starred in Poor Things, and there's a whole lot more that if I listed them all here, I'll just keep talking because that's how big it is. The synopsis of this is a triptych fable with segments. I'm going to stop there and I'm going to explain what triptych is. So think of triptych as a painting which is in 3 different segments, Each segment is different, but when you put it together, it's one full picture. Think of that. That's what a triptych is, so keep that on the back of your mind. So the synopsis for this is a triptych fable with segments following a man without choice who tries to take control of his life. That's one segment. A policeman who is alarmed that his wife, who was missing at sea, has returned and seems to be a different person. Another segment. And the last segment is a woman who is determined to find a specific someone destined to become a I can't even say that word, sorry. A prestigious spiritual leader? No? How do you say that word?
I don't know.
Who wants to become a spiritual leader? So this sounds quite similar to Wes Anderson's what's it called?
Dispatch.
The French Dispatch.
Yeah.
How it's like different stories. So James, what do you think of Yorgos making a film like less than a year after his previous one, and the sort of concept around this film right now?
Well, yeah, it is an anthology movie where it just has all these smaller stories combined into one. I didn't even think of the French Dispatch when this movie came to my attention. I started to think of The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's done by the Coen brothers. I think it was on Netflix, but yeah, that movie, it's very much the same thing. And in terms of this movie coming pretty much, 6-7 months after Poor Things coming out, it's a miracle. I saw it and I had to do a double take. I was like, wait, actually it's coming out this soon. But I mean, it makes sense in terms of how this movie's made. I believe the shoot for this movie was less than 2 months, so there really isn't much to this movie. And if anyone thinks this is going to be like, another Poor Things movie's coming out, I definitely don't think it's that. I think this is just Yorgos Lanthimos having kind of like a passion project, doing something fun. It will still be good, I have no doubt in his ability, but I don't think it's going to get to the masterful level that we saw in Poor Things, because that one seems like it's very dedicated project. But yeah, this one was done in 2 months and shot. It was shot in 2022, so a while back. And Poor Things was done in 2021. It's just the post-production for those movies. Obviously, COVID slowed things down, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I'm super excited for it. Not for the same reasons as Poor Things, and I don't think this is going to be, a movie that's just going to dominate the Oscars. Although I saw lots of stuff on the internet like, oh, look at the release date, it's not going to be an Oscar contender. Studio must not have faith in it. I'm like, please, like, Oppenheimer released in July and swept. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once came out in March, like a year before the Oscars, and swept. And what one before that? Oh, Coda, which released in January and then won in March next year. 13, 14 months after it had debuted for the first time. So I don't think the release date has anything to do with it, but I think the Academy really loves Yorgos. And so, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs was nominated for a few Oscars. I think song, costume design, and adapted screenplay. So movies like this, where it's an anthology one, and it has, different story, 3 different stories, all in one segment at a time. These movies can actually get some steam. They can be great despite the different concept to it. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Yorgos Lanthimos does in more of a contemporary setting rather than some, just weird and wacky kind of stuff. And I think the overall theme across all these 3 stories is going to be kindness. I think it's going to be something along that kind of theme, just as we saw with the trailer, kinds of kindness just in 3 different colors in each segment. If you've seen at the end of the trailer, it does that. So I'm like, okay, 3 stories, 3 different ways of kindness somehow, or whether it's, but knowing Yorgos, he's going to have some really twisted spin on this. I believe it's not going to be straightforward. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do with it.
Yeah, complete in agreement as well. And I also think that this film's going to be a visual hit as well. I mean, it was very fast-paced, this trailer, in terms of cut. But in those little cuts, like, the cinematography looked fantastic. There was one where someone's getting dragged down the hallway and it was just a still camera down the hallway while movement was playing around it. It was fantastic. I think the lighting is going to be good in this film as well, and the sound as well. And the fact that he's brought back his 2 faves of Poor Things, Emma Stone and Willem Dafoe, just goes to show that, how Martin Scorsese has Leonardo DiCaprio. Well, Yorgos has Emma Stone, because this is now, the 3rd movie of his with Emma Stone in it? You got The Favourite, Poor Things, and...
Yeah, I think you're right.
And now this one? Yeah. So, I'm really interested. That one thing that does worry me is not in terms of that it's going to be 3 separate stories, just the stuff that I've seen in the past. And the most recent one is French Dispatch, and I wasn't a big fan of that film. I liked each individual segment, but it never came into one big one, and that's what sort of worries me, because I know that this director's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of hoping it's not just 3 individual stories. I hope it's 3 individual stories, and then, it comes into that one big picture.
No. If it's an anthology movie, it'll be 3 different stories. The commonality between them is, like, the theme, the message behind it, just shown through different stories. That's what it's going to be like. But I completely agree with you. I can't buy into those movies as much as, like, your straightforward feature-length movie. Like, just mini stories coming together. They're fun, they're enjoyable, they're good. French Dispatch was that.
Yeah, it's just not enough time to,
get absorbed
connect with the characters.
Exactly.
And, and at the end of the day, films are, the most important thing is writing and character work, and everything else just accompanies that, along with acting. So it's really hard to get trapped or hooked or drawn to something within half an hour or 45 minutes and then just have it completely change to something else. So yeah, that's I am excited for this, but I am a little bit cautious to my approach, just based on what I've seen in the past before.
Yeah, I'm exactly like you. I'm tempering my expectations just a touch, I know what I'm going to be in for this movie, and it's not going to be Poor Things. So yeah, anyone who's watching, if you're expecting something along the lines of Poor Things, just take a step back, deep breath. It's not going to be like that, all right? It's going to be good, enjoy it, but it's not going to be the same, not at all. Please lower those expectations. I can just imagine this movie coming out and everyone just absolutely hating it because it's very different and not what they're expecting, and they're not common.
And everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, Yorgos Lanthimos was a Oscar nominee, and now he's just trash."
Oh, he's
blah
washed.
blah blah. But that, yeah, he's washed. He's hitting his lull. He doesn't have that spark anymore. Oh, bro, shut up, you bitches, man. Shut up, man. God damn. All right, we're gonna move on before I get way too heated on these little trolls that we're just having an argument with, even though that the argument hasn't even started
I
yet.
know, yeah, they don't even exist.
But we just know that it's gonna happen.
You're just punching the air right now.
All right, buy, rent, sell. Any loyal day one Let's Be Real listener will know that we have done this segment from the inception right up until now. It was a big feature on our voice podcast, and now we're bringing it to you in this video format. Except this is the physical media edition, because now on video I can showcase all my physical medias, which I have right next to me. I haven't quite planned on where I'm going to put them because I have such a small desk after I've done this, but I'll hold them up. I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see them, because when James does edit this, I'll take up a little screen, but I'm sure he'll have some pictures for you guys. So the concept of buy, rent, sell is I pitch three films to James, and it's self-explanatory. He chooses one that he will buy, one that he will rent, and one that he will sell, and I'll give a brief explanation about them. And I guess I'll do the same. All right. Yeah. So James, first one in buy, rent, sell is The Shining.
Yes. Classic.
Mad Max Fury Road. And 2001 A Space Odyssey. Ooh, so which one would you buy, which one would you rent, and which one would you sell?
Oh, this one is tough, dude. You got like two absolute classics there, but all in like kind of like different generations of filmmaking. This is about our own subjective choice. I am going to buy Mad Max Fury Road. I mean, no hate to the others, and I'm not saying it's the best because people are going to come at me for that. But yeah, Mad Max Fury Road. I just love that movie and contemporary filmmaking in a brilliant way. I really like it. Out of the other two, it's just for the legacy of it. No, not just the legacy of it. It's great in its own way. It's a movie that I must always at least have close to me. So I would rent 2001: A Space Odyssey. I love that movie, and it's a movie that makes me feel very inspired, all that kind of stuff. And so, inevitably, I have to sell The Shining. I do love The Shining. The Shining is one that, it's tough to sell. I hate these ones where they're also good, but yeah, The Shining would be the one that I'd have to, that I would sell out of those ones.
All right, Shining's out. Pretend I throw that. I'm not going to actually throw this.
Don't do that, bro.
Shit. I should actually take the disc out one day and just throw it, and we'll be like, "What the fuck, you throwing your?"
But what if you break the case?
Don't think of that. Next one. Now this one is the franchise. So yeah, you've got the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise.
Oof.
Funny because we just talked about that. You got the Kingsman franchise. So that's Kingsman 1, 2, and the Kingsman. And then you also have the Hunger Games. This is not including Ballads of Song Snakes and Songbirds. It's just,
Oh, so I can't include that?
No, because I don't have it. It's a physical media edition.
Oh, that changes things now, man.
Buy, rent, sell. Which one?
Oh, that changes the game. Oh, these movies have real duds in them, but they got real high points as well. Oh. See, if you kept Bella, Songbirds, and Snakes. Oh, but dude, this one's really hard. All right, I'm on the clock here. I got to be a little bit more selective and fast with this. I am going to buy the Hunger Games still. Just over Pirates of the Caribbean. But yeah, the Hunger Games, I think those first two movies, they're just so strong. It ends quite poorly and on a weak note. But those first two movies I can watch, repeatedly, I'd get good bang for my buck for that one.
For sure.
Based on that answer, I'm going to rent Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm going to rent it so I can watch the first 3 and then give it back to whoever I'm renting from, which I think is the perfect way to watch this franchise. Those last 2 are ones that I cannot watch again. But those first 3, they're really, really good entertainment. Especially the first one. I love that one. And then, what are we doing? We are selling the Kingsman collection. It's because of the Kingsman exists. No, we're not throwing them. I love the first 2. And I know people absolutely hate the second one. I still don't know why. I think it's really, really good fun. But yeah, both of those movies just don't hit as much as the first 2 Hunger Games movies. So therefore, I'm going to have to say goodbye to the Kingsman and not own or rent it.
If I had included Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes.
It still would have been first because I like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It's just that I don't know whether Pirates was over it, but I thought about it, and yeah, Hunger Games has to go first for me.
Okay, cool. I'm just making some room here because I got some big boys coming up now. So, similar to the last one, it's a franchise this time. So we have the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy.
Ooh, good trilogy.
And that's what it looks like, steelbook format for you guys that wants to zoom in.
Those steelbooks are so nice.
We've got the Back to the Future trilogy.
Oof.
And because I don't have another trilogy that's in the same size, I've decided to go to the TV show route. And I have Avatar: The Last Airbender animation book 1, 2, 3.
God, throwing a TV show in there makes it so hard now.
So I can't even hold them all in one hand, so I'm just gonna make do here.
Yeah, he's gonna
buy, rent, or sell.
just hug them all.
Which one?
All right, well, I'm easily gonna sell Back to the Future. Great first movie.
That hurts me a little bit. It's all good.
Oh, it has one good movie in it. So yeah, the first one's really, really great. It's a ton of fun. A classic 80s classic. Don't know where I was going with those words, but yeah, an 80s classic. So yeah, but the other ones aren't that great, and yeah, the franchise died very, very quickly. The fact that you have a whole series there, I have to buy that. And I'm not gonna play the game where I'm gonna buy it because it's worth the most. I think it's a silly way to play this game that we do. I'm just gonna buy it because it's a lot of just really, really great content, and I really want to own that series on that the whole trilogy and the steelbooks and stuff. I really do like The Last Airbender, and there's a reason why Netflix or anyone cannot match it in terms of quality. So inevitably, I have to rent How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, and it is a really, really great animated trilogy. It's not the best, but it's definitely up there. It's super consistent, really well done. It's akin to something like Kung Fu Panda in terms of just that consistent, really great quality you get throughout every single movie.
Yeah. Good choices. Do you want to do mine or just... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry. I was just going through it. You have all the movies in front of you, so it's like... I got nothing to hold, bro.
I'll hold them up on what I do. All right, so I'll work backwards towards James because that's how it's laid out for me right now.
Fair.
So the last one, which was Back to the Future, Avatar, or How to Train Your Dragon, the one that I'm selling is How to Train Your Dragon. I do appreciate the filmmaking in this. I do think it's a excellent... James is like, fuck, I know where this is going.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's a very great animation trilogy, and I think it's probably one of the best animation trilogies. It's quite rare nowadays because there's always one dud, but each three in this is just as consistent as the others.
Yep.
I will rent Back to the Future because it's a childhood franchise of mine. The first Back to the Future is like my fourth most favorite film of all time, and I remember as a kid I used to just rewatch all three films every weekend, like on repeat, to the point where my dad had to take my Xbox away from me, and that's Xbox, like the very first Xbox as well, because that's how I could watch it. So I had to hide all of that from me.
How good.
Yeah, and I'm obviously going to buy Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's my favorite TV series of all time.
Whoa,
and
I
if you
did
just
not know
ignore, if you just ignore everything else that's come since that, which is such as The Last Airbender and this Netflix one, the series is fantastic, and the character work in this series is great as well. I mean, just look at Zuko. His you can compare him to Vegeta. You know, they were both villains, and then they turned to the good side and helped the protagonist. So, yes, I think Jane for the next one, which is Kingsman, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Hunger Games.
This one was hard. Yeah,
I find it quite easy. This one, I'm selling Kingsman.
Oh yes.
I do. I do appreciate the first two films, but the Kingsman just wasn't quite there. It wasn't, it didn't capture the goodness of the first two.
Yeah.
They should have really had Kingsman 3 rather than the Kingsman, because no one gives a shit about prequels. I will probably... I'll probably buy Pirates of the Caribbean.
Nah, it's fair enough. They're so close. Yeah.
Yeah, same as you, because the first three films are great. The first one is obviously the best one, but 2 and 3 are just as good. The other two you can just watch in the background while you make dinner or have a barbecue or doing a podcast. Just
you have it on right now.
No. You can just it's the first three are like classics, and they're just so iconic, and it brought the world to Jack Sparrow and the pirate culture.
Yeah.
And I will rank Hunger Games pretty much the same as Hunger Games 1 and 2. 2 is by far my favorite one, but those first two films are absolutely fantastic. So unfortunately, it did lose its way a bit with the Mockingjay films, but what can you do?
Yeah.
Can't strike gold all the time.
I know.
Alright, my next one is The Shining, 2001, and Mad Max. I would... See, this is my hard one. Just more in terms of what I would sell. Because I know exactly... I know exactly which one I would buy, and that would be Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, you're going Mad Max as well, eh?
Yeah. We touched upon it in the Furiosa trailer, how it's like one of the best action films of the past decade or even 2 decades, and it's got everything, visual style, cinematography. It's awesome. I'd sell 2001.
Oh man. And here come the comments. Bro, how do you sell 2001?
Yeah, I'll sell 2001. I'll just go there. I'm just going on pure enjoyment for myself. That's the reason why, and I think I enjoy The Shining just a tad more than 2001. So that's why I would rent The Shining, because you got fantastic performances and a great score. Not that 2001 has fantastic performances, it has a fantastic score, don't get me wrong, and visual effects, but yeah, I think I just enjoyed The Shining a little bit better.
Yeah.
So that was our Buy Rent Sell, the physical media live in a couple hours for you guys edition. And that will also do us on our Let's Be Real podcast for today. That's the last segment. I'm wrapping up now. So I hope you all enjoyed today's show. I hope you enjoyed that segment and the news that we covered today. If you did enjoy that, give us that like and give us that subscribe. You'll be doing us a big favor, and we will appreciate you so much. And head over down to the comments and give us your thoughts on whether we're idiots for buying, renting, or selling some of our choices. If I'm an idiot for selling 2001: A Space Odyssey, or even if you just want to, if you just want to comment on, the Spider-Man news or Pirates of the Caribbean news. Do you think the reboot could work, or do you think that the Peter Parker losing himself is stupid? Let us know down below. Be sure to subscribe. Said that before, I'm going to say it again, so you guys do. Please do it. We'll appreciate you again twice. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. We'll catch you on the next episode with Movie Gains. See you later.
Peace.